Hello, everybody, and welcome to another interview. Today, I'm sitting with Mr. Ahmad Awais. Ahmad, how are you today?
Well, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am also doing great. Now, many of you have probably heard Ahmad's name for one reason or another, perhaps most recently with his amazing Create Gutenblock project, probably for any other variety of things, because Ahmad, you are prolific in the things that you produce in open source. I guess I should ask first, are you working with more hours in the day than the rest of us have? Like, how do you produce so much awesome stuff?
Well, I'll spend hours explaining how my workflow works, but instead I'll just say that I've trained my brain to be there in the seat, work through a Pomodoro 25 minutes, and automate some part of, my daily work. And that automation leads to some sort of a good open source workflow that I keep open sourcing on GitHub. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty good. Just discipline and sheer focus. I used the Pomodoro technique myself a bunch of years ago, and it helped me dramatically reduce my to-do list. And then I stopped
Yeah.
using it. I'm like, oh, good, my big huge backlog is gone. Let me just go back to working things, and then it, builds back up over time. Uh,
Yeah.
Sweet. So you're going to be presenting at WordSesh on July 25th, and we're talking about things like um, dev tooling and sane automation. Could you give us a little bit of a tease about what it is that people might be hearing about in your presentation? Because obviously it's a huge topic and we could go a dozen directions. What are you thinking about right now?
Okay, sure. Well, there's just a little bit of history. Just like most of you, I'm just a regular WordPress developer, and I started regular contributing to the core. And from there, I moved towards cloud, DevOps, and JavaScript community. So in JavaScript community, automation is a big thing. Developer experience, that is developer tooling, DevOps, and that kind of thing is huge. And I hate to discover this that in WordPress community we are quite behind those guys. So what I started to do about 5 years ago was started building small automation scripts like WP Gulp, WP SAS, or maybe WP NPM scripts. Maybe let people know that we can do that kind of stuff too. And it's pretty cool to be able to automate small stuff, small grunt work that you don't want to do as a developer. And that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about on 25th. uh, I'm going to be focusing on developer tooling and why someone like me who's a developer advocate cares so much about developer tooling, why you should, why I built Create Gutenblock, and in post Gutenberg world and WordPress community, why you should start open sourcing small little npm node modules, and why these packages are quite important. I might even show you a little bit of a workflow that I wrote out of Create Gutenblock inside of our gulp WP Gulp profile, where I'm using Gulp to manage Webpack, and all of my configuration is from a teeny little part of Create Gutenblock in a project which has nothing to do with Gutenberg. So I hope that's awesome.
Um, I, for one, would love to see that because it sort of it promotes the like the holy grail that people are always after, right? Like, well, if I build this correctly once, I can reuse it many times. And here you've made
Exactly.
something with Create Gutenblock where you're not even using Gutenberg, but you are repurposing some of its build processes to improve other build processes for other projects that you're working on. So yeah, I think that
Exactly.
sounds pretty awesome. Oh, nice. So
Thank you.
you mentioned that you've been working outside of the WordPress space and you see lots of people doing other awesome things, and you've been trying to bring those into WordPress and show, hey, WordPress community, we can also do these cool things. And I'm wondering, how much does WordPress still play a role in your day-to-day? Like, are you still using WordPress every day, or is it sort of become a much smaller part of what you're doing?
So that is a tough question. I'm not going to lie. I have started using WordPress less and less as much as I move towards different stuff that is happening. nothing to do with it, like Kubernetes. And I would really like to see WordPress, head into that direction. Maybe we could in WordPress, maybe let's say WordPress 6.0, we could have a complete separate WordPress templating engine. You could be able to, choose between templating engines like Pug. Maybe you would be able to use Pug for WordPress in a non-hacky way, and that kind of thing. So yes, I do use WordPress a lot, but most of my time goes towards configuring these different kind of tool sets with WordPress. For example, lately I just published a news blog post on a custom WordPress dashboard that I built using serverless plus MongoDB architecture, along with WordPress REST API. So that kind of stuff is what's going on with me, and that's where I think WordPress would move in a couple of years from now.
That sort of jives with all of the other interviews that I've been having, where people are, and outside of even the speaker interviews I've been doing, people are combining WordPress with other things, and so the amount of time they're spending with WordPress, or the amount of the overall picture that WordPress uses, has shrunk, but it's still an integral piece in this broader ecosystem, which is pretty cool. And along the same vein, what sort of do you wish?
Yeah, you're right.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that you're right. There are huge ecosystems with Docker, Kubernetes, and then Node.js, but there are things in WordPress that make a lot of sense. For example, WordPress hosting. You take a look at Kinsta, WordPress Engine, Liquid Web, and Cloudways, that kind of things. All of these hosts are quite different, and they have managed to master one of a particular area of WordPress, or manage WordPress, as you say. As soon as you, as a WordPress developer, jump into the Node.js ecosystem, you realize that hosting isn't as simple as it used to be in WordPress. So a big kudos to these hosts as well, who are making it so that we as developers could be able to use WordPress in a lot of innovative ways, and quite easily to add to it.
It makes perfect sense to me. And you have a pretty unique perspective, so I'm really keen to hear what sort of things you would like to see WordPress doing in the future, whether that's new features for the platform, or changes in the community, or different points of integration. Like, what is your biggest wish for WordPress in the future?
Well, there are a lot of wishes that I could pour into my pot right now. But one thing that I think WordPress can do is start being more modular, and be able to detach a lot of core stuff. It would be an awesome world to live in, where let's say there is a part of code that I don't really care about in my project, and I could just ignore that part. That kind of modularity in WordPress could lead to a lot of easier configuration with modern dev tooling. And similarly, I would really want the WordPress community to be more focused and not be less ignorant towards these new architectures like serverless and maybe dev tooling and developer experience and that kind of thing. So a lot of wishes there, not a single one.
Totally fine. Those are awesome. So people can obviously come and hang out with the two of us and see you present live at WordSesh on July 25th, or the recording afterwards. Where else could people find you online if they want to follow up and see some of the other cool things that you're doing?
Yeah, so I am MR Ahmad Awais, Mr. Ahmad Awais at most of the platforms, or you can, let down the MR part at Mr. Ahmad Awais at Twitter and Ahmad Awais at GitHub. So you can find my open source work on GitHub, and you can find me ranting about just about anything on Twitter. So that's where you should come on and say hi.
Well, sweet. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join me here on the interview. And everybody who's been watching, I hope that you enjoyed this and are excited about Ahmad's presentation on July 25th. And be sure to watch some of the other speaker interviews, and then we'll see you there in the chat. Ahmad, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.